Welcome back to The Long Way Home. I'm your host, Josh Bearheart Hawk, and today we're talking about music. Music has an impact on all of our lives, whether we realize it or not. It is one of those things that has. We all have a song that you can hear come on the radio, and it takes you back to a moment in your life. And that could be a good moment, it could be a sad moment, it could be something, whatever it happens to be attached to. It's very much like smells. They say that certain smells can take you back to certain places. Music the same way. For me, there are there are a million songs that I connect to memories. Um, Looking back on just my childhood in general and how music has impacted me. I think about when I was a kid, my mom would listen to a lot of 70s, 60s, and 70s rock, a little bit of 80s. There was some like REO Speedwagon and stuff in there, some Survivor. But there's a lot of 60s, 70s, 80s, a lot of classic hits. We had, some Aerosmith, some Led Zeppelin in there. So I got a good range of music. And then we had a phase for a while there where there was just a lot of Christian rock, especially Carmen. Carmen was a real big one. Satan Bite the Dust was one of the songs that like we knew when it came on in the car we were all going to have a good time. So we had those kind of things. And then I think where music really took off for me and where it really started to hit me and kind of impact my life in a positive way was in the late 90s when I heard my mom listen to the radio in the bathroom, and she was taking a shower, and I heard a song on the radio, and I was like, "What the heck is that song? That sounds really cool." And it turned out the name of the song was "When Cowboys Didn't Dance," and it was a song by I want to say Lone Star. It's either Lone Star or Diamond Rio. I think it was Lone Star. But I asked her, I was like, what radio station you listen to? And she told me, and it was actually a local country station. And it was the first time I'd heard country music. And for me, from that point on, country was kind of like the big thing for me. I liked the old stuff still, but I was really, really got into the country music, and especially Garth Brooks. When I first saw him on, they had a replay of a concert that had been pay-per-view the year before that he'd done in Times Square. No, Central Park in New York. And this concert it was on fire. The whole thing was just amazing. And every second I was hyped up watching this thing. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be Garth Brooks. I fell in love with country music at that point. I was like, I'm going to do that. I went through a phase in my teen years where I was writing songs. I wanted a guitar for years. I wanted a guitar so bad, and I finally got one when I was like 17. Like it took a while, but I finally got a guitar. But I wanted to be a country music star because the music, it spoke to me. And even when that kind of thing died, because like I'm not the greatest singer in the world. I don't have the best singing voice. And it was never really something that was in the cards for me, but I still enjoy singing along to the radio. I still enjoy doing karaoke. Like, I still love that kind of stuff because music just has that impact. If I had to name one song that had the biggest impact on me throughout the course of my life, it would probably be Tim McGraw's Live Like You Were Dying. And that was a song that the day that my mom died, I played that on the radio on the way to the hospital because it just had that big of a thing. It hit me so hard of like this, you could die at any time. You need to be out there. You need to be living the best life, being the best person you can possibly be. And that song, it just grabbed a hold of me and it's never let go. But then there's songs, from other artists like Kenny Chesney. Anything Kenny Chesney, as far as like, especially during his island phase, Old Blue Chair and Guitars and Tiki Bars, and like those songs really hit me. They take me to another place because in my heart, I'm an island boy. I could live on a beach and just be and write and just be happy. I don't need anything else. That is just who I am. So songs like that really, really impacted me. And as the years have gone on, I found fewer and fewer new songs attractive. As far as like, if I hear a new song on the radio, it's like, okay, whatever. And some of that is probably nostalgia. Some of that is probably directly related to the fact that, like, it's there's a point in my life when music was really big, and it's I don't listen to the newer stuff anymore. So I think I reminisce on the stuff that I listened to growing up or when I was younger. And some of it I think is just that so much music now sounds the same. There's indie music out there that kind of hits the new chords and does things different. But for the most part, a lot of music sounds the same. And it's because we've gotten into this idea as a society, this almost automation. It's almost how quickly can we push stuff out? You think back to like Henry Ford and the Model T and creating the assembly line. And I think music and entertainment in general, like I'm going to be doing a video a video podcast talk about entertainment here soon, and it's the same thing as far as like I think it's become very formulaic. It's become very what is hot and trendy right now. Let's push that out. And if you don't sound like the stuff that's currently popular on the radio, we aren't going to put you out there. But then also the stuff that's currently popular on the radio is because of the stuff that the record companies want you to hear. It's songs that aren't necessarily good songs. They just are put out there everywhere. That's the same way as anything else. We don't let the cream rise to the top anymore. It used to be when something would come out and it would become super popular because people actually enjoyed it. Now people are told to enjoy it because it's super popular. And it's only super popular because it's being pushed constantly. And I think that transformation happened somewhere in probably the mid 2000s. Again, with the explosion of the internet, as I've talked about in other videos, the explosion of the internet was kind of like the catalyst in human society. I think that's the moment that historians someday will look back on as the time when the world just completely changed, not necessarily for the better. And it's this point where record labels, big companies, they now decide what all is out there. They've always decided to an extent, but now they decided even more so. And if you want to make a living as a musician, you have to, or as a singer or whatever, songwriter, you have to play by their rules. Otherwise, you don't have a chance. I knew a guy back in the day that was in a band that they did it as a side thing for fun. They weren't necessarily trying to blow up or get big, and they did a couple of small little local tours. But they never really had a chance to be anywhere because they weren't mainstream. They weren't the kind of music you would hear on the radio. You turn on any radio station, you're going to hear pretty similar shit. Unless you're listening to an oldie station where you're listening to, I guess now the oldies is like the 80s and the 90s. But if you're listening to older stuff, that's one thing. But nowadays, you turn on the radio, you listen to anything new. I mean, half of the country songs I listen to on the radio now are just like, what the hell am I hearing? What is this? One, it either sounds really pop, or it's trying to play off of nostalgia from prior popular songs, songs that people grew up with, like me, that grew up in the 80s and the 90s, listening to this stuff, and now they're just re-referencing that stuff. One of the big songs that comes to mind right off the bat is Heads Carolina, Tails California, and there's been a remix that was done on that, referencing girls singing that song in karaoke. And it's like, okay, it's fun, but like, really, we can't do anything new? And no, you can't do anything new because new is frowned upon. New is scary. It might not succeed, so they don't want to put money into it. And so it kills any kind of creativity. Now, you can still go online. You can still go on, like, YouTube's a big spot for that now. You can find some very original songs, some parody songs, some fun songs, some very good music that has never been heard before. You can find local bands and stuff like that you never would have found otherwise. But even that is incredibly difficult because unless you know exactly what to look for, you're going to be digging through the search results for hours. it becomes this cycle of, I want to find some good stuff, but the good stuff is all buried below all of the crap that's out there now. And there is probably some music, there's probably some things that people are going to look fondly upon in 20 years. People that are growing up now, probably going to look back and say, "Oh, I remember that Katy Perry song." I guess I don't know. They all sound so similar. And you have the big names. You have the big names like Taylor Swift that are out there, and she's doing a lot of really great stuff. And it's not that she's, that's the thing. Don't take this as me saying that these singers and songwriters are no good, because Taylor Swift is extremely talented. These artists today are extremely talented, but they're boxed in. They're told you have to follow the specific thing. The genres all sound very similar. There's no real originality that is promoted anymore, and it's frustrating to me. That's why I stick with a lot of the older stuff. When I go on long car rides, and I know I'm going to be on a long car ride, I'll put together a playlist on Amazon Music of just stuff from the 90s and the 2000s, even into the 80s and the 70s. Depending on the mood I'm in, I'll put on a bunch of different stuff that I'm familiar with from the back in the day, because I don't want to risk listening to, not being able to, not knowing what's on the radio, but also like just the same of every single thing that comes on. And that's not even to mention the messaging in certain songs now. The messaging is so far off. Back in, I remember there was a big controversy for both Garth Brooks and Martina McBride. Both had the same kind of controversy when it came to domestic violence. Martina McBride had a song called Independence Day, and Garth Brooks had The Thunder Rolls. Both songs were focused on domestic violence, which was a very controversial topic, but they both had some very interesting messages, and it was kind of like a retribution type of thing. Independence Day is the woman burns down the house, kills the guy that's been beating her, and The Thunder Rolls, if you listen to the extended version of that, the shortened version is the guy's cheating on the woman, and she doesn't like it. She's pissed off about it. The extended version, she shoots him, and the music video for it actually expands on that, and you can tell he's been beating her. So you have these messages in these songs, and then you look at today, and the messages in some of the songs, and I stick with country because that's easiest for me. I listen to a lot of country, but you have a lot of songs today that they're messaging. There's the one. Try That in a Small Town, which is just an absolutely atrocious bullshit song that has been lauded as some kind of like great, amazing thing. And it basically boils down to, hey, these things that like you would normally get arrested for in these big cities, come to a small town and try that and watch how we beat the hell out of you. We don't have due process here. Like, that's what it boils down to. Stuff that is like already illegal, that you already can't do, and you're going to get arrested for it, even in a city. And they're like, "Yeah, come to a small town. We'll beat the hell out of you. You won't make it down the road before we have our posse riled up." That kind of thing. There's another one where I can't remember the name of the song, but the general gist of it is the guy he picks up this girl who's on the side of the road, and she's obviously been through hell, and then he realizes that her boyfriend, husband, whatever that she lives with is abusive, and so he takes her home and tells her, "Oh, it's wait in the truck." That's what it's called, wait in the truck. Tells her wait in the truck. He gets out, he goes in, kicks the door open and kills the guy. And that's supposed to be a positive message. That's supposed to be a good thing. It's not that he takes the woman to a shelter or he wants to help her out in any way. It's that he goes and kills the guy that she says has been abusing her with no due process. Again, I feel like that's a theme in modern country. No due process. We don't allow due process anymore. Like it doesn't make sense. And if you look at the Martina McBride and Garth Brooks version of things, those were very much somebody that was fed up and taking retribution for themselves. Whereas the ones today are very much focused on, we aren't even going to give you a trial. Somebody else is going to come in. The guy's going to save the day by coming in and killing the supposedly abusive spouse. Or we're going to beat the hell out of you for stealing a purse from an old lady, and you might wind up dead, by the time we're done. That's the direction that they're going with the songs. So the messaging even in these songs is sometimes just so far off what the messaging. I mean, I haven't done a one-to-one comparison, but I would almost want to say that like you could look at one-to-one to the songs from like the 90s to the songs from the 2020s, and just there's a huge shift in the way things are referenced and talked about, and not always for the better. I think a lot of times for the worse, because we're acting like everything has to be. We look for group punishment, I guess. You use the group to punish the one person that may have done something wrong. It doesn't make any sense to me. I absolutely cannot stand so many of the modern songs for that reason. They just I don't understand how this stuff gets published, how this stuff becomes popular, other than the record industry, the companies that are coming out and saying, this is what's going to be popular today. We're going to put this all over the radio, and you're going to hear it and see it everywhere. That's how things become popular. It's not, hey, let's just play a bunch of stuff and see what people like. You don't have the old ways of like voting and seeing what people requested the most through the week. You can see, okay, we had this song requested a million times across the country, so it's the number one song this week. That's not the way it is anymore. And it may not have ever technically been that way. They might have just, hey, we want you to play this song. But I think there's been a change in that too. And how DJs aren't DJs anymore. They are somebody like me. I could be a DJ on radio today. You're reading from a script. There's no personality. There's no, it's just, here's some music and promoting our next iHeartRadio concert, because iHeartRadio owns everything now. And it's absolutely stupid. I cannot stress that enough, that I don't like music, modern music for the most part. There's some stuff that I'm okay with, that I can get behind. I also think that people get a little bit too antsy and pissed off about things. A lot of people hating on Beyonce, for instance, for a country album, that they're like, oh, that's not country. Guess what? It's country nowadays. I actually enjoyed Beyonce's country album. But I'm a one-off. I'm one of those people that like I find myself enjoying things that I think a lot of people, and it's not necessarily that a lot of people hate. I think it's just that it's popular to have a negative opinion online, because you're more likely to get clicks on a video with a negative opinion. Now you might get clicks if I were to title a video, I loved Beyonce's new album, I might get some clicks. But those clicks are going to be from people who are just irate the fact that anybody would have a different opinion. But if I title a video, Beyonce's new album is absolute trash, now I'm getting a whole bunch of her fans clicking on the video, and that's drawing interaction. That's all anybody cares about is traffic, which is the same reason why music is pushed out the way it's pushed out now, because all that matters is traffic. It doesn't matter the quality. It doesn't matter how good something is. That's just the way that we do things now. So this might have been a little more old man yells at sky than my normal stuff. But anytime I'm comparing things from the 90s to things from present day, it's going to be like that in some ways, because like realistically I think the overall quality has dropped off in music particularly, but just entertainment in general. The quality has dropped. We don't have innovation as much as we used to. It's seen as you need to copy everybody else's sound. You need to be the exact same, fit in this tiny little spot. Otherwise, you're not gonna get anywhere. That's just the way that it works. And I hate it. I wish it was different. And maybe someday it'll be different if we just if we keep talking about it. If we stop listening to the newer stuff, I don't know. Maybe they'll go back to the way that they used to do things. I don't know. But that's all I got for this ranty one. I've been trying to get out there more and do more. I've got the podcast now on multiple podcast platforms, as well as YouTube and Patreon, and I've been trying to share it around in multiple places. I've been trying to put videos on TikTok lately. I've done a lot of political videos, but I'm really focused on trying to get the podcast to 2 to 3 episodes a week and really pick up the pace going into the fall, because I really want to get on that and push it a little bit more. I haven't done it like I should, and it's something that I'm enjoying. I'm having fun recording this and talking about the way things used to be, the way things are, and you know, the things that are better, the things that are worse. I need to do an episode at some point soon about something that's actually improved. I feel like I've done a lot of episodes about how things have gotten worse. I haven't done nearly enough about how things have improved. So maybe I'll do something like that coming up. But there are other episodes coming out. So make sure that you have liked, subscribed if you're on YouTube, follow, or I don't know what they call it. Subscribing to an RSS feed, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how podcasting works. All I know is that you can keep track of what I'm doing by pressing a button somewhere on the podcast to tell whatever platform that you're listening on that you want to hear more episodes. So do that. I would really appreciate it, and share, and get the word out. I'm trying to find new audiences out there. But with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching / listening, and that's all I've got for now. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.